understand. The distracted. The next vision showed a man in a suit, surrounded by luxury. He laughed, raising a glass of wine in celebration. But behind his eyes, there was emptiness. He was successful by worldly standards. Yet something was missing. Some have been called but have chosen to ignore it. Jesus explained with sadness in his voice. They are caught up in the distractions of the world, wealth, power, pleasure. I knock at their hearts, but they do not listen. Still, I do not give up on them. I watched as the man, alone in his grand home, stared at his reflection in the mirror. His smile faded. Though he had everything, he felt nothing. The call was still there, waiting for him to answer. The unique servants. The final vision revealed a woman standing before a crowd, her voice full of passion as she spoke of hope, of kindness, of love. She had no visible mark, but her words lit a fire in those who listened. Some souls do not need an outward sign. Jesus said, their light shines from within, illuminating the path for others. They do not need a mark to prove their calling, for their actions reveal it. I saw the people in the crowd moved to tears, their lives touched by her words. She had no M on her hand, yet she carried the mission just as powerfully as those who did. As the vision faded, I found myself back in my room, Raphael still standing before me. Do you understand now? He asked. I nodded, my heart full. Yes, the mark does not determine one's value. Every person has a purpose, whether or not they bear this sign. Raphael smiled. Exactly. God's plan is vast, and every soul has a role in it. Some are chosen to bear the mark as a direct calling, while others find their mission in different ways. But all are loved, and all are known. I looked down at my hands, the M still glowing faintly. I had spent my life searching for meaning, but now I saw the truth. It was not just about the mark. It was about answering the call. However it came. Raphael's expression softened. Remember this, Samuel. The greatest mission is to love, whether marked or unmarked. Every soul is called to share God's love in their own way. A warmth spread through me, deeper than any I had felt before. I had been given a second chance, a new purpose, and this time, I would not waste it. As Raphael's light faded, I whispered a prayer of gratitude. I now knew what I had to do. I would no longer live just for myself. I would live for my mission. As the visions faded and Raphael's presence withdrew, I remained on the floor, overwhelmed by all I had witnessed. My heart was pounding, not with fear but with a deep realization of everything I had overlooked in my life. The meaning of the M mark had been revealed, and I now understood that whether one bore it or not, each person carried a divine purpose. Yet, regret surged through me. I had spent so many years in ignorance, focused only on myself, dismissing the whispers of faith that had always been calling me. I had ignored opportunities to help others, to bring kindness where it was needed. Tears welled in my eyes as I thought of all the moments I had let slip away. Lord, I whispered, my voice shaking, have I wasted my chance? A sudden warmth filled the room, and a light unlike any I had ever seen enveloped me. I shielded my eyes as a presence more powerful than anything I had encountered before stood before me. I knew who it was even before I could see his face. Jesus, his eyes, full of love and wisdom, met mine, and I felt my soul laid bare before him. There was no judgment in his gaze, only understanding. I trembled, feeling unworthy in his presence. Samuel, he spoke, his voice both gentle and strong. You feel as though you have wasted your life. But I tell you now, it is never too late. My breath caught. But Lord, I have been selfish. I have turned away from my purpose for so long. I have done so little to serve others. Jesus reached out, placing his hand upon my shoulder. The warmth of his touch was unlike anything I had ever known. It was love in its purest form. You have been lost, he said, but now you are found. Regret is the weight of the past. But I do not call you to live in sorrow. I call you to rise, to walk forward, and to fulfill the mission that still lies ahead. Tears streamed down my face. But what can I do now? My time is running out. Jesus smiled, the kind of smile that holds infinite compassion. Time is in my hands, and I give freely to those who seek to serve. You are not called to change the past, Samuel. You are called to change the present. A deep sob escaped my lips, and I knelt before him, feeling the full weight of his grace. Lord, forgive me, forgive my blindness, my wasted years. His hand gently lifted my chin. his gaze never leaving mine. "You are forgiven." At that moment, I felt something shift within me. The burden I had carried for so long, of failure, of lost time, began to lift. I felt lighter, freer than I had ever been. It was as if a new life had been breathed into me. Jesus continued, "Now, rise and go. There are lives waiting to be touched by your words, by your kindness. Do not keep your light hidden any longer." I nodded, my heart pounding with determination. "I will, Lord, I will not waste this chance." The light around him intensified. And before I knew it, he was gone, yet his words echoed within me, more real than anything I had ever known. I rose to my feet. My body still weak but my soul stronger than ever. I knew now what I had to do. My life would no longer be about regrets. It would be about action. I stepped forward, no longer the same man I had been before this journey began. A new chapter of my life had started, one filled with purpose, with love, and with a commitment to serve as I had been called to do. As I stood in my quiet home, the world around me felt different. The same walls enclosed me. The same furniture stood in place. Yet I no longer felt like the same man who had fallen to the floor just hours before. The presence of Jesus, the words of Raphael, and the visions I had seen had forever changed me. I had been given a second chance. A chance to live not for myself but for something greater. I looked down at my hands. The mark was still there, shining faintly, a constant reminder of my calling. But now, I knew that whether one bore this mark or not, every person carried a divine purpose. My life had been spared, and I would not waste another moment. The next morning, I stepped outside and inhaled deeply. The crisp air filled my lungs with new life, and I knew exactly where I needed to go. I walked to the local shelter, a place I had passed by countless times but never entered. I had seen the people gathered there, men and women with tired eyes, faces etched with hardship. Before, I had always looked away, telling myself there was nothing I could do. But now, I knew better. As I pushed open the doors, a woman at the front desk looked up, surprised. "Good morning, sir. Can I help you?" I smiled, feeling a warmth spread through me. "Yes, I'd like to volunteer." She studied me for a moment before nodding. "We can always use an extra pair of hands." From that day forward, my life took on new meaning. I spent my mornings helping at the shelter, serving meals, and listening to stories from people who had been forgotten by the world. I no longer saw them as strangers but as brothers and sisters, each carrying their own burdens, their own divine purpose. One afternoon, I met a young man named Daniel. He was no older than 25. His clothes tattered, his eyes filled with sorrow. He sat alone, staring at his hands. I approached him gently. "Is there something on your mind?" He hesitated before speaking. "I don't know who I am anymore. I've made so many mistakes. I feel like I have no future." His words struck a chord deep within me. I knelt beside him, showing him my palm. "Do you see this mark?" He frowned, studying it. "Yeah, what is it?" I smiled. "It's a reminder that I have a mission. But you don't need a mark to have a purpose. Every person has a calling, even when they can't see it yet." His eyes filled with tears. "You really think there's still hope for me?" I placed a hand on his shoulder. "I know there is." From that day, Daniel began to change. He started coming to the shelter regularly, not just for meals but to help others. Slowly, his posture straightened, his eyes brightened. He had found something worth living for. And in him, I saw a reflection of myself, the man I had once been. Lost and searching, now renewed by grace. Word spread of my experiences. And soon, people began asking me to speak about what I had seen. At first, I was hesitant. Who was I to teach others? But then, I remembered Jesus' words, "Do not keep your light hidden any longer." And so, I shared my story, not for my own glory but to show others that it was never too late to answer God's call. As months passed, I found joy in every moment. Each person I helped, each soul I encouraged, was a step closer to fulfilling my purpose. I was no longer weighed down by regret but lifted by hope. One evening, as I sat alone, I whispered a prayer. "Thank you, Lord, for this second chance." A gentle warmth filled the room, and though I could not see him, I knew he was there. A voice echoed in my heart, "Well done, my faithful servant." Tears of gratitude streamed down my face. My journey was far from over, but I would walk every step with faith, knowing that I was exactly where I was meant to be. Lessons learned from the story. It's never too late to change. Samuel spent most of his life searching for meaning, unaware of his divine purpose. However, his encounter with Jesus taught him that no matter how much time has been lost, redemption and transformation are always possible. Every person has a purpose. Whether one bears the mark or not, every individual has a unique mission in God's plan. Some fulfill their calling openly, while others serve in quiet humility. No one is insignificant in God's eyes. Regret should not hold us back. Samuel initially struggled with guilt over his past mistakes and missed opportunities. Yet, Jesus showed him that dwelling on past failures is not the way forward. Instead, taking action and living with purpose is what truly matters. God's grace gives second chances. No matter how lost someone may feel, God is always willing to welcome them back. Samuel's journey demonstrated that divine mercy is available to all who seek it with a sincere heart. Faith and action must work together. Simply knowing about one's purpose is not enough, it must be lived out. Samuel's decision to help at the shelter, encourage Daniel, and share his testimony proved that faith without action is incomplete. Serving others brings fulfillment. True joy does not come from personal achievements but from lifting others. By dedicating his remaining years to helping those in need, Samuel found peace and fulfillment that had previously eluded him. Hope can be found even in the darkest moments. Just as Samuel felt lost before his revelation, many people go through life feeling purposeless. However, his transformation serves as a reminder that hope is always present, even in the most challenging times. God sees the heart, not just the outward signs. The mark was a significant revelation for Samuel. But Jesus clarified that his calling is written in people's hearts, not just in external signs. What matters most is a person's willingness to follow that calling. We are called to share God's love. Samuel's journey was not just for his benefit but to inspire others. By sharing his testimony, he became a beacon of hope, proving that our experiences can positively impact others when shared with faith. Faithfulness is rewarded. In the end, Samuel received reassurance from Jesus. "Well done, my faithful servant." This was a powerful confirmation that when we choose to follow God's will, we walk the path He has prepared for us, and we will be rewarded in ways beyond our imagination. These lessons remind us that no matter where we are in life, it is always possible to realign ourselves with God's purpose and live in a way that honors Him and serves others.